Wow, Luke Campbell just got beaten by Yvan Mendy. Split decision. Two of the three judges score it to Mendy. Do you know what? I can't disagree. I thought Luke Campbell had the flashier work during the fight. I thought his combination of punches, his punch variety was possibly of the higher quality. But I thought the opponent brought the pace. I thought he forced the action. And I thought he brought enough momentum in terms of his direction in this fight to deserve to get the win. I really did. Most notably, he dropped Luke Campbell in the fifth with a hook. You know, Luke Campbell did kind of trip over his own legs a bit there, so it wasn't the heaviest of knockdown, but a legitimate knockdown nonetheless. 10-8 round there kind of was a big factor in why Luke Campbell lost this fight. I've got to give credit to Paul Smith here. Now, I know people might give me stick for giving credit to Paul Smith because I met him yesterday and I was talking earlier about what a great guy he was. But putting that to one side, I thought he called this fight excellently well. All the people at ringside were saying he had Luke Campbell up. All of them were towing the skyline. And Paul Smith said in clear fashion he had Mendy winning this fight by 2 rounds. He was saying that the Luke Campbell corner work was very, very poor. And the guys needed to tell Luke Campbell he needs to mix it up. They were giving him bad advice by constantly saying he's winning the rounds, he's winning the rounds. He also commented on the lack of a change of pace, change of game plan from Luke Campbell, which I thought was really telling in this fight. What he was doing wasn't working, so why did he continue to do it in the same way? So fair play to Paul Smith. He was, he nailed this one and nailed his analysis here. It was good to see. As for Luke Campbell himself, I felt it was a subpar performance from him. But there's 2 factors to consider. People who watched my video earlier with my thoughts after the weigh-in yesterday will have noted what I said about Luke Campbell. Now, don't get me wrong, I at no stage predicted Luke Campbell will lose this fight. I'm not predicting that. I hadn't seen enough of the opponent, really, to make a prediction like that. But what I would say is I did comment that I think he missed weight, Luke Campbell. He seemed like he'd struggled to get down. And afterwards, outside, when I spoke to him, I noticed him, really chugging away on the water. It was clear to me Luke Campbell had dehydrated. And the fact that he dehydrated himself down and, still been very, very tight at the weight. I even posted a video, actually. Luke Campbell does a check weigh-in. It's still up on the channel. So I did highlight that pre-fight. And I think that's a real relevant factor here. Because being so tight at the weight can sap a fighter's energy. It can also affect fighters' punch resistance, both of which were potentially at work in this fight here today. So that was one factor. Another factor was the step up in levels. I didn't know too much about this opponent, but I've looked into him now. He's 30 years old, so he's not over the hill at all. He's a very big guy at the weight, and I think Luke Campbell has always enjoyed such a size advantage in his fights previously. He couldn't do that over Mendy. Mendy was tough, he was strong, and he looked physically a bigger man than Luke Campbell. He wasn't as tall, his frame wasn't as tall, as big as Luke Campbell's. But he was powerful, he's built like a bit of a bull at the weight. And, he brought the action. Mendy, I'd almost compare his style of fighting. There's certain similarities with Arthur Abraham. It's not overly complicated. He did the basics very, very well. He kept a high guard, he forced the pace, he threw the right type of punches. And I just thought Mendy here was by far and away the best fighter Luke Campbell had ever been in with. If you think about it, that Campbell's previous top opponent was Tommy Coyle. This is a real step up. This guy went the distance at light welterweight with Victor Postol. Victor Postol obviously recently stopped Lucas Matisse at light welterweight. So that tells us that this guy is a really tough guy, experienced at a higher level than Luke Campbell. And, I know Victor Postol isn't the greatest fighter, greatest puncher in the world, but to go 12 rounds with him, it shows a certain kind of toughness if you consider he just stopped Lucas Matisse. Campbell, he really didn't look on form. The problem here is that whilst the opponent was effective, he was somewhat basic, and you would think Campbell would find a different level or a different variety to his game to kind of box rings around him and speed the pace up that way. But he just couldn't find it. It was a bit of a lacklustre performance. I think it is very relevant what happened at the weigh-in yesterday, that he was missing weight, all very tight at the weight, all very dehydrated, however you want to phrase it. Credit to Mendy. Campbell struggled to adjust with the step up in class today. perhaps there needed to be another fight between Tommy Coyle and this level of opponent. Let me know your thoughts. A bit of a shocker. I'm sure Mr. Hearn won't be happy. Wouldn't be surprised if this isn't the only upset on the card tonight. Many thanks for watching.